Imagine this for a moment. Being locked inside a wooden box no bigger than a coffin. You can't stretch your legs. You can barely breathe. There's no sunlight, no freedom, just darkness and fear pressing in from every side. Sounds like the plot of a horror movie, right? But what if I told you this actually happened, and not for a day, not for a week, but for 7 long years? This is the story of Colleen Stan, a young woman whose kidnapping earned her the chilling name, the girl in the box. She was just 20, adventurous, and full of life when she set out on a simple hitchhiking trip to see a friend. Back then, hitchhiking wasn't unusual. She had done it before. It felt safe enough. But as you'll soon see, the ride she accepted that day would lead her straight into one of the most disturbing nightmares in true crime history. Colleen accepted a ride from Cameron and Janice Hooker, a couple with a baby in the backseat. Wouldn't you think that looked safe? That's exactly what Colleen thought too. But soon, Cameron veered off the road, pulled out a knife, and forced her into a wooden box he had built for one chilling purpose: to silence, restrain, and control. Imagine the terror of realizing that this wasn't just a ride anymore. The box was coffin-like, padded to block sound, and barely had enough air to breathe. When they brought her home to Red Bluff, California, her life, as she knew it, was over. Cameron, a lumber mill worker, had dark fantasies of domination. He didn't just want to control Colleen's body. He wanted to control her mind. To do this, he invented a lie so big it would keep her in prison for years. He told her about the company, a secret organization that watched her every move. If she tried to escape, he said they would kill her or hurt her family. And here's the scary part: Colleen believed it. From then on, her days became a cycle of confinement and terror. When Cameron wasn't using her, she was shoved into a wooden box hidden under the couple's bed. Can you picture it? Above her, Cameron and Janice lived their daily lives, watching TV, cooking dinner, even sleeping, while Colleen lay silent beneath them, trapped for up to 23 hours at a time. The heat in summer was unbearable. The cold in winter was bone-chilling. But the worst part was the silence. After a year, Cameron demanded even more control. He presented her with a so-called slave contract, a document stating that she belonged entirely to him. Convinced the company would punish her if she disobeyed, Colleen signed. From that moment, Cameron didn't just call her a victim. He called her his property. To the outside world, though, the Hookers looked like a completely normal family. Cameron worked every day. Janice cared for their children. Neighbors visited. No one had the slightest idea of the secret prisoner hidden in their home. Sometimes, Colleen was even allowed out of the box to clean, cook, or care for the kids. To visitors, she looked like a quiet babysitter. But here's the most shocking part. Colleen even went home to visit her family during this time. Can you imagine sitting in your parents' living room, knowing you're a captive, but smiling and pretending everything is fine because you believe your family will die if you speak up? That's the level of psychological grip Cameron had over her. As time passed, cracks began to form. Janice had been manipulated by Cameron too, convinced that Colleen's presence was sparing her from abuse. But guilt slowly ate away at her. Finally, she told Colleen the truth. There was no company. It had never existed. All those years of fear had been built on lies. For Colleen, the revelation was both devastating and freeing. With Janice's help, she finally walked away from the Hooker's house and returned to her family. After 7 years in captivity, she was free at last. But even freedom was complicated. She didn't rush to the police. Trauma had left her shaken, unsure, and terrified. In the end, it was Janice who came forward first, striking a deal with authorities in exchange for testifying against her husband. Cameron Hooker was arrested and put on trial, and the details that came out in court stunned the world. The box under the bed, the slave contract, the years of abuse, the psychological warfare. Colleen stood in front of the jury and shared her story, steady but powerful, and her testimony helped convict him. He was sentenced to over a century in prison. But freedom didn't erase Colleen's pain. She had lost 7 of the most important years of her life. She struggled to rebuild, haunted by nightmares and trust issues. And yet, she survived. She found strength in speaking out. using her story to raise awareness about the power of coercive control and manipulation. Her ordeal remains one of the most disturbing cases of prolonged captivity in modern history. It forces us to ask difficult questions. How could this go unnoticed for so long? How can fear enslave someone so completely? And how many others suffer in silence, hidden in plain sight? Colleen's nightmare lasted 7 years, but her resilience is what makes this story unforgettable. She proved that even in the darkest conditions, hope can survive. She showed that monsters don't always hide in shadows. They can look like the couple next door. And she reminded us all that sometimes the most dangerous prisons aren't made of walls or bars, but of lies, fear, and control.